Hey, Jai Hind and welcome to this edition of The Right Stand. I'm Anand Narsimhan. Now, we begin with an exclusive news break here this evening on The Right Stand. US Defense Department linked assessments have now shed fresh light on how China and Pakistan are recalibrating their approach towards Bharat through coordinated grey zone strategies. Operations designed to apply sustained pressure without crossing the threshold of open war. The dragon is fighting from the shadows, and it is the dragon that is weaponizing, aiding, helping Pakistan. Now, the finding accessed by CNN News 18, and which we reveal tonight here on The Right Stand, suggest that Operation Sindoor marked a significant test case of this evolving doctrine. Now, according to the assessment, Pakistan executed the visible, kinetic and proxy elements of pressure during the operation, while China remained largely in the background, in the shadows, shaping the battlefield through information warfare, cyber activity, intelligence support and diplomatic maneuvering. Chinese satellite coverage and electronic surveillance inputs are believed to have enhanced Pakistan's real-time situational awareness, improving targeting and operational coordination without direct PLA involvement. Now, a central feature of Beijing's approach was plausible deniability. While Pakistan absorbed international scrutiny as the immediate actor, China focused on amplifying Pakistan's narrative through controlled diplomatic messaging and calibrated online information campaigns. Now, these efforts sought to blur attribution, question Bharatiya claims, and also slow the formation of any international consensus in Bharat's favor. US officials are assessing this as a deliberate attempt to test Bharat's escalation thresholds while keeping Chinese fingerprints indirect. Now, the report underlines that China's military planners increasingly view Bharat as a core sovereignty and long-term strategic challenge. Even though Beijing's primary focus remains the US-Taiwan theater, Bharat, the assessment states, is being shaped as a future containment target, particularly across the Himalayan frontier and the Indian Ocean region, where China seeks to constrain Bharat's strategic rise. Now, Pakistan continues to play a pivotal role in this calculus. US intelligence sources describe Islamabad as China's pressure valve against Bharat used to keep New Delhi strategically distracted, dilute expanding Bharat-US defense cooperation and experiment with hybrid warfare models at relatively low cost to Beijing. Now, the coordination between Beijing and Islamabad is emerging as a key tool to apply multi-domain pressure without triggering full-scale conflict. Your channel and here at The Right Stand, we have access to the documents that point in this direction, that very clearly outline this assessment, and somewhere it rings true, viewers. Let's go across to our guest, Brahma Chalani, Strategic Affairs expert, Lieutenant General KJS Dhillon, former GOC 15 Corps of the Indian Army with us. Kulbir Krishnanji, former IPS and also ex-member of the NSAB, is also with us, and we should have Andrew K. Leung from China joining us. My namaste, Jai Hind and Vande Mataram to everybody. KJS Dhillonji, you have authored the book Operation Sindoor. You also highlighted the dynamic where the Indian Army played a key role and demolishing very strategically important assets of the Pakistanis across the LOC. But this aspect of the Chinese involvement and that Op Sindoor was perhaps the first of the many experiments that they will undertake. Do you agree with this assessment by the Americans?
Good evening, Anand, and good evening to the fellow panelists and your viewers. Yes, China-Pakistan relationship. It's also a relationship which has seen the test of time. And at the same time, it's also a relationship, as we say it in Hindi, Shahukar ka paisa phasa hua hai. China money is stuck with Pakistan, and Pakistan under tremendous debt of China, including for CPEC, that is China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, as also the weapons which have been bought by them. So for China, there is no other option but to side with Pakistan, although At a strategic level and at an economic level, it makes sense to be partnering with India and not to be in competition with India. But then two largest, you can say militaries, two largest populations, two largest economies in the region, it is but natural to have a competition. And China does not play frontal. China always plays through the proxies. China has always concentrated in last 50 odd years on its economic build-up, at the same time played through the proxies. And in this case, Pakistan is a proxy. And during Operation Sindoor, it was very clearly understood, and it was even stated officially by the Deputy Chief of Army Staff that Chinese intelligence, satellite intelligence, was available to Pakistan in real time. Now, when two nations are at war and third nation supports a particular nation with military information, that's an hostile act. Technically, it's an hostile act, and if China claims to be friendly to India, that act was not a friendly gesture. And that is where it all boils down to. So I tend to agree with this assessment. In the long term, China's aim would be not only to contain India, also to contain USA as well as Russia, as and when Russia also merges as an economic center. But only good thing about India and China relationship is the Great Himalayas in between. Very limited accessibility, and the accessibility through the sea route, through the South China Sea and through the Malacca Strait and through Indian Ocean and Bay of Bengal is economically not viable. It's viable for minor items like khilone and that Diwali ki ladiyan, but for a major trade, that route is not viable, and CPEC is just not viable because China's major economic activity is on its eastern coast. And from Gwadar, when CPEC it goes and hits China on the western side. And then they have to traverse the whole of China, west to east. So that does not make economic sense. Even transporting crude oil from the Gulf via CPEC does not make sense. The only reason CPEC is there is because China wants presence in the Arabian Sea in terms of Gwadar port. So China and India are natural allies, but they are also natural competitors. We need to tread very, very cautiously. We need to be strong, because China only understands strength. China will bully you if you are not strong. So India has to stand on its 2 feet. We have to be strong militarily and economically. Politically, we are very strong. There's no doubt about it. So China understands strength, and we need to deal with China from that platform.
But the other aspect is also that they seem to have read and understood our scriptures and what has been ancient military knowledge of how to run and govern. That you always keep an eye on the neighborhood. You work with another neighbor to try and create pain points and problems on someone who you believe can be a threat in the future, and you don't look at short term, you look at long term. You look at far ahead of the curve, and then you plan in advance. Now, they seem to be doing this in their whole of nation approach. Brahmachaleni ji.
You're right, Anand. China has little in common with aid-dependent Pakistan, beyond the fact that both are revisionist states, not content with the existing frontiers, both covet Indian territories, those separate territories. They do, however, share interest in containing India. And the maxim, my enemy's enemy is my friend, unites China and Pakistan. But I think it's a bit ironical that that we are now relying on US assessments. It's ironical because US and Chinese interests are increasingly converging on Pakistan. What one side does for Pakistan ends up advancing the other side's goals. Both are working, albeit separately, toward the same end. For example, keeping cash-strapped Pakistan afloat. This is what Washington is doing. This is what Beijing is doing. Washington is backing multilateral credit, while Beijing is extending bilateral loans to Islamabad. And this US-China convergence helps explain why the Trump administration has turned a blind eye to China's control of Pakistan's Gwadar port. But Washington has targeted the strategic counter to Gwadar, the Indian-operated Chabahar port in Iran. First they withdrew the exemption, then they have given time until May for India to exit Chabahar port. So while protecting China's presence and control in Pakistan's Gwadar, the Trump administration has targeted the Indian-operated Chabahar port. At bottom, the Sino-US convergence on Pakistan is partly driven by a shared aim to prevent India from achieving regional preeminence in South Asia. I think we need to face up to this reality. Otherwise, we'll be constantly either looking at the US or at China and not understanding that there is a Sino-US convergence on Pakistan. This is what's making Pakistan so strong today. And that's also the reason why Bangladesh, despite its slide into jihadist chaos, is not on Trump's list of states from where travel has been banned or restricted by the US. It's interesting that countries which pose no threat, which have no Islamist networks, extremist networks targeting or against the US, are on that list, travel ban list of Trump. But Bangladesh and Pakistan are both missing.
True, interesting. But it's a 100-page document, this assessment that we put some excerpts of. Andrew K. Piliong, your thoughts before I bring in Kulbir Krishanji. That the US is not only doing a deep dive into the Chinese strategy, they're also looking at what possible objectives China could have between 2027, 2035 and also 2047. So, but more importantly, what China's involvement has been in the neighborhood. Even as President Xi Jinping met with Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the Indian armed forces were aware of the Chinese support to the Pakistanis. The Americans have only further said that this is just the beginning. There is going to be far much more to ensure that Bharat remains weak.
I think there is a paradigm shift in the relationship between Pakistan and the United States, for example. Because recently, very recently, say maybe about a couple of weeks ago, the top Pakistan leadership was invited to visit the White House. Think about it. I mean, and also a number of deals were reached directly between President Trump and the top military leadership in Pakistan. Why is that? I think that this speaks to a more multipolar kind of dynamics where there is only permanent interest, no permanent friends or enemies, as the diplomatic sort of narrative has been saying for a long, long time. So I think that you can see that India is also pivoting, not entirely towards the United States, and is now recalibrating its relationship with China, despite the deep-seated territorial conflicts between these two countries. Likewise, China's now, of course, I mean, even China's so-called ironclad relationship with Russia is not cast in stone. I mean, there are all some differences in along past territorial disputes, even between China and Russia, and Russia knows that. But on the other hand, Russia and China are tied together economically because the two economies are extremely complementary. Russia is the world's largest exporter of energy and fertilizer, and China being the big customer. And likewise, there is a recalibration relationship with the Middle East, for example. I mean, you look at Saudi Arabia, Iran, they are moving away from the United States. Why? It's because the United States has now become not the energy importer, is their competitor. And the biggest customer for Middle East oil is China. And not that they would like to embrace China entirely again, but again, they are recalibrating relationship. Now, as far as Pakistan is concerned, there's supply of intelligence, a supply of warfare. I mean, India is buying armament from Russia, right? Does it mean that Russia is now supplying arms to Russia in order to contain China? I mean, that's a twisted narrative. And obviously, many countries are exporting their military hardware and also software, particularly intelligence in a way. And even if you look at the recent American containment of China's semiconductors, and they are now doubling down with a lot of American Western allies, but excluded India. I mean, the latest thing coming out of the White House. So I think that we're moving into a world where different poles, they're not forming into blocks. They are all predicated on calculated interest. And that's the reality of what we are facing today. In a world where the so-called rule-based order has been thrown out of the window, and what counts is power and influence and national.
So you're not discounting the fact that China does not view Bharat as a friend, but as a future challenge and a threat, which it wants that should be curbed. And if it has to use Pakistan, then so be it. Or would you want to concur with Lieutenant General K.J.S. Dhillon, who says that because China has got so much money invested there, and it's all stuck, all its projects are stuck, it has no other option but to empower Pakistan, even if that agenda is against Bharat?
No, I think that this narrative that China somehow is a threat, again, is a twisted narrative. In a sense that China is not conquering any territory, it's not occupying any or invading other countries. Look at how many wars China has started since the establishment of the People's Republic of China. I mean, you can count it in a few fingers, compared with what the United States has been waging wars all over the world. So to say that China is a threat is a twisted narrative. Naturally, China is growing very, very strongly, and then by growing strongly, I mean, even if you are a panda, if you've grown to be a 2,000-pound panda, naturally you become a threat. But is this creature necessarily, wanting to invade other countries? And of course,
the intention to invade and acquire territory. The intention to invade and acquire territory is open because China does not have a settled relationship with any of the 26 countries with which it has its borders, land or sea. So that is very, very evident that it would want to keep spreading. It's not even a 2,000-pound panda. It's like algae. It just wants to spread far more. You have to look at it from that perspective. But second to Taiwan, Kulbir Krishnji, this note says that China's focus is going to be to try and to ensure that Bharat's strategic dominance is suppressed, remains controlled. And for that, they will continue to do everything below the threshold of a full-scale war and a direct conflict.
Can I come on that one?
I fully agree with this appraisal.
Yes, Kulbirji.
I feel that China is a threat, no matter what the previous gentleman said. It was the actions which it has done in Galwan or in other areas have proved that out. At the same time, international relations are nuanced. They are not a black and white or a zero-sum game. We have relations with China. We want to improve them. But it needs two hands to clap. The fact is very simple, that China has been trying to encircle India. It has been making claims on Arunachal Pradesh and on Ladakh and in other places. And we have not made any claims, although we have very strong reasons to claim Tibet or even Xinjiang and other places which were not parts, or Outer Mongolia, which were not parts of China earlier. But we are not going into that. We are going into Operation Sindoor. Operation Sindoor was fought not only militarily, it was fought diplomatically and at the level of, narratives. So while we did win clearly in the military field, we have not, in fact, I would say we lost the narrative and we lost the diplomatic initiative, primarily because there was a convergence of interest. The Chinese wanted to show that their weapons have worked very well and that they are superior, that their aircraft, etc., are superior to the Rafale or Sukhois or so on, which we have, and which is a blatant lie, but it was swallowed hook, line and sinker by the world media because the Western media also played along. So we should give credit to Pakistan that it is able to get both the US and China on its side. It's able to have good relations with Riyadh and Tehran. But what are we doing? We are not sitting idle. We have improved our relations with the Taliban. In the last 3 months, 3 ministers have come, and this has caused consternation in Pakistan. Pakistan is in panic and in fact thinking about a regime change in Afghanistan. So we, at the other end, we have talking about our our long-term plan to have a big base in
please come
in Nicobar, Great Nicobar Island. Once we have that, then the China will not be able to threaten us as it is able to threaten us today.
Correct.
We have already built a lot
but you would
of
also
infrastructure.
appreciate.
We
You
have
would
to
also
keep building the
appreciate.
infrastructure.
We'd also have to appreciate that this entire project in Great Nicobar should have happened as of day before yesterday and not day after tomorrow. And the challenge is that there will be, that it's not going to be that the Chinese will not want to stymie or stifle this project, and they would not want to create unrest, because there will be other regional entities also and other global entities who would not want Bharat to have that kind of control along the Malacca Straits. So that's something we have to appreciate, Kulbir Krishnji. But since you spoke about narratives, this, according to the report, I'm just coming back to you. Operation Sindoor exposed a coordinated China-Pakistan grey zone play where Pakistan handled the kinetic and proxy pressure while China focused on information warfare, cyber posturing and diplomatic shielding. Then, Chinese narratives sought to internationalize the issue, slow Bharat's response cycle and test Bharat's escalation thresholds without overt PLA involvement. So, they prefer this plausible deniability and this projection of Pakistan as the perennial troublemaker. This is their game. That's what this report is very clearly saying. Do you agree, disagree, Kulbirji? And then I'll bring in the others. Yes.
No, I agree with the report, but I feel that even the plausible deniability part is also not very important to China. It doesn't mind exposing its hand because it's very clear the strategic interests of Pakistan, strategic interests of China converge. India has to be kept weak. It cannot come as a power which can challenge China in Asia or in in the Indian Ocean, and so they will do everything in their power, including repositioning their satellites, giving real-time warnings, giving real-time information, etc. And although they will try that their hand is not exposed, in today's day and age, your things can't be kept secret for very long. So what happens is that even if, like what happened in Galwan, there was nothing about deniability. It happened by accident perhaps, but the fact remains that China couldn't care less. If it has to show its iron fist, it would show its iron fist, but it would like to cloak it in a silken glove.
Now, but General Dhillon, the other point here is that the American assessment is from their point of view. They also believe that this whole de-escalation along the LAC is another calculated measure by the Chinese and the PLA. Why? Because they didn't want further deepening of the US-Bharat defense ties. Now, that's the American perspective. Obviously, they are doing it. They're monitoring 20 nations where they feel that, including Cuba, Sri Lanka and Pakistan, where China is likely considering establishing military basing and logistics access. So, this entire sudden involvement and engaging with Pakistan, trying to overtly mollycoddle them, is also because America is worried that the Chinese will get a firmer imprint there. The Americans wanting to get back into Afghanistan is also because of the Chinese. I'm just saying two big hegemons are assessing each other and making gameplay. And are we just pawns? What is Bharat doing and what should Bharat do? General Dhillon.
Anand, talking about China-India de-escalation or, lowering of the tempers and other things, that is the natural thing to happen because China does not directly want to enter into a larger conflict with India as of now. It still wants to concentrate on its economic development, and when the right time comes, it will probably show its colors. I just want to make 2 points about the previous speakers. One of the speakers said that China has never entered into a war and never conquered the territory. China does it differently.
Yeah.
May it be Ladakh, China has captured Ladakh. May it be Taiwan, China is threatening Taiwan. And may it be encircling India, may it be in Myanmar, may it be in Sri Lanka, may it be in Maldives, may it be Pakistan, may it be half of Africa. China does it differently. China does it with the tool of giving easy debt with difficult terms, which the country is not able to repay, and then they reclaim their carbon tota is one of the live examples. And now coming to your question proper, why these two superpowers or why these two economic powers are trying to show interest in Pakistan?
Right.
Now, I'd request your viewers to look at Pakistan's map. Let's look at from north first. From the north, Russia and China both wanted to get an access to warm waters of Indian Ocean and Arabian Sea.
Yeah.
India won't give an access.
Yeah.
Iran won't give an access. The only route was Pakistan, which would give anything for money. So Soviet Union came into Afghanistan with the ultimate aim of coming through Pakistan into Arabian Sea. And now China has actually come into Gwadar and got access to the Arabian Sea and further on to the Indian Ocean and the Persian Gulf.
Yeah.
Now look at the map from south onwards. America wants access to Afghanistan, Bagram Air Base and all. It wants access to the Central Asian republics. It wants access to China because it does not want China's interest to come inside Afghanistan and Pakistan. Now, Iran won't give access to America for Central Asian republics. India won't give access from the east. So the only country which would give access from the south to go further north is Pakistan. Again, for a few dollars here and there.
Yeah.
So Pakistan's geostrategic location is so relevant to anyone from the north as well as from the south. And good thing from Pakistan's perspective is Pakistan is ruled by military and not politicians, because politicians do not understand geostrategy. Military people do. So military generals in Pakistan understand the geostrategic relevance and importance of their country, and they are in cashing on it day in and day out, one after the other. So that is how US and China's interest in Pakistan will always remain. Like China is in Gwadar, 80 kilometers to east, US is looking at Pasni.
Correct.
Chawar has already been spoken about.
Whether Pasni happens or not is a different point, but everybody has a focus. My question, and I'm going to come, I have to wind up this conversation with, there's more to share with our viewers. There's a lot that's developing. But Professor Brahma Chaleni ji, what is Bharat doing? Now, Bharat today perhaps has a certain amount of economic heft to be able to plan this, but we need to have money to be able to plan beyond our borders.
You raise a very important question, Anand. In fact, we should be discussing that because, we tend to focus too much on we focus on developments, what should, how they're unfolding, what is the larger meaning. But it's rare for us to debate as to what should be India's response to these developments.
Yeah.
And I think we need a proper debate on India's response, because this year has been particularly bad for India's foreign policy, because there have been a series of shocks that should shake India off its complacency, should make us reassess our basic assumptions, because the strategic landscape has shifted quite dramatically in 2025, and in 2026, India faces some hard choices.
Yeah.
Now, these comforting narratives are clearly distracting us or preventing us from actually facing up to the hard realities. And I think we need to take a realistic long-term view, and we need to also recognize that we have to shed our reactive mindset, our reactive approach to developments. Look at our own backyard, for example. It's gone from bad to worse, and all we're doing is reacting. We're issuing statements in response to statements issued by others. take Bangladesh, for example. A lot of people are asking as to what is our response to the fact that Bangladesh is sliding into Islamist chaos, which holds long-term implications for India's internal security, not just for external security, but very much for India's internal security, given the porous border between India and Bangladesh. And I think it's very important for India to develop a proactive approach to both regional and larger issues internationally. We need to completely revamp our thinking and our approach, our diplomacy. And I think 2025 should serve as a wake-up call for a more proactive approach.
Right. Now, Andrew Kepilung, final word. Yeah.
Well, I come back to my earlier remark that we are now facing a multipolar, multidimensional world, somewhat very, very different from what we faced even a couple of years ago. I mean, look at China's pivot to the global south, look at the China pivot to the Middle East, look at the way the United States is treating India. As distinct from its Western allies in the recent kind of a semiconductor strategy towards against China, and look at the whole East Asia. And you mentioned Taiwan. The biggest misunderstanding in the Western media is on Taiwan. China, the absolute preference is not an invasion; it's a trap. And the top priority is still peaceful unification through three strategies. The three strategies are A, diplomatic deterrence, military deterrence. That's the one strand. The other is diplomatic and economic isolation. And the third one is people-to-people exchanges. So these three strategies are working. And then most of the Taiwanese people do not want unification, but nor do they dare to declare independence. And more Taiwanese people are working on the mainland. They see opportunities there. And then all these dynamics are pushing towards a peaceful settlement. And that's what the United States wants. I mean, the United States policy on Taiwan hinges on these three the three principles.
See, for the Americans, I'm running out of time. For the Americans, Taiwan is the toehold that helps them train their guns on mainland China. So that's one part. So from one hegemon's point of view, from the other point of view, one has to understand, viewers and to our guests, that China is in it for the long game. Those who are playing the long game, who are watching the long-term vision, who are able to see 50 years, 60 years down the road, not 5-year, 10-year terms, they are the ones who are planning ahead, and they are already sowing the seeds today. So you've got to sow the seeds, you've got to nurture it before it becomes a tall enough, robust tree that bears fruit and also provides safety, shelter and security. And that's something which perhaps has to manifest in Bharat's doctrine. Now, is it already manifesting? Is it taking shape? Well, that's a conversation for another day. But are we not just aware, but what are we doing? Is there an assessment like this, like the Americans have made, like the Chinese do? Is Bharat making an assessment which is realistic, pragmatic, and also helps us plan ahead? We leave it at that. Thank you to our guests. Two of our guests will stay on for the next bit and through the course of this conversation. Just moving quickly to yet another big exclusive, and this is closer home, viewers. This is around the Falah University and that entire module of intellectual radicals and intellectual terrorists. CNN News 18's mega exclusive. Manoj Kumar Gupta getting us this information too. The inside details of the Falah ED investigation. The Enforcement Directorate conducting an investigation under the provisions of Prevention of Money Laundering Act in the matter pertaining to Falah Charitable Trust, Falah University, Falah School of Medical Sciences, based on material gathered so far, and is examining inter alia layering and integration of suspected proceeds of crime into educational charitable structures, fraudulent land acquisition and diversion of charitable funds, undisclosed related party transactions and cross-border holdings, various violations of regulatory norms, indications that Mr. Jawad Ahmad Siddiqui has settled family abroad, including issues relating to dual nationality or dual citizenship claims of his son and daughter as reflected in certain foreign filings, and also investments, round tripping of money, and also floating various companies in which the family is shareholders, but never disclosing the income expenditure of those, and somewhere indicating towards a fraudulent forgery of books, and also somewhere fraud and round tripping of money or carting of money out of Bharat, laundering it. Now, case searches and seizure. So far, the searches under Section 17 of PMLA were conducted at 20 premises in the Delhi NCR National Capital Region, including Al Falah House. Seizures from various premises include multiple evidence and cash of 48.65 lakh rupees, including 7 lakh from inside the residence of Jawad Ahmad Siddiqui itself. Jawad Ahmad Siddiqui arrested under Section 19 of the PMLA 2002, and after ED custody, he was remanded to judicial custody by the competent court. He remains in judicial custody. Now, what are the other aspects? Control and operations of Al Falah Charitable Trust and the Al Falah University. It has emerged during investigation that Al Falah Charitable Trust controls Al Falah University and Al Falah School of Medical Sciences and Research Center. And as per examination of Internet archives, the university website reportedly continued to display the NAAC Grade A accreditation claims even after expiry of accreditation. The investigation revealed NMC-related inspections and permissions may have been managed through fraudulent practices, including advanced communication on relating to permission and rejection of PG seats and inspection dates, and subsequent arrangement for fake doctors and fake patients for inspection related purposes. Undisclosed related party fund diversions. Investigation has identified multiple related party fund diversions in significant transactions, including construction work of medical college, hospital complex in Dhauj, Faridabad, a partnership firm in which Afham Ahmad Siddiqui holds 49%, Afia Siddiqa holds 49%, and the remaining 2% is in the name of an employee. Hostel catering contracts to Messrs. Amla Enterprises LLP. Usma Akhtar, the wife, holds 49%, the son holds 49%, remaining 2% is in the name of an ex-employee. So again, these above concerns are found to be effectively run, controlled by Jawad Ahmad Siddiqui, and a proprietorship firm, Messrs. Star Foods, owned by the accused brother, is found to have supplied food items to the university till 2016. So such related party transactions were not disclosed in returns of income and other statutory filings of the trust and associated entities. Same with the Tarbiya Education Foundation and the fraudulent land acquisition. Tarbiya Education Foundation found to be connected with the accused having majority stake control. A plot of 500 square yards in Madanpur, Khadar, Southeast Delhi was purchased in 2013 in the name of the foundation. Investigation has revealed that the land comprised in Madanpur, Khadar, New Delhi was fraudulently acquired by Tarbiya Education Foundation through a forged document purportedly executed by multiple landowners who had already died between 1972 and 1998. The forged GPA was used to sell the land to Tarbiya Education Foundation. University funds were diverted to acquire this land fraudulently. And overseas links, cross-border holdings, nationality issues. There are multiple aspects to this investigation mentioned in the FIR also. And we have access to the FIR. Investigation has revealed incorporation of Ennoble Education and Training Limited in the United Kingdom with initial shareholding linked to Jawad's son and daughter, and subsequent change in shareholding to include a UK-based close associate under verification through competent channels. It's under verification, and while Indian passports are held by the son and daughter, the foreign incorporation documents describe them as British citizens. So this dual nationality again is not allowed by our law. Digital evidence also indicates control of a jewelry business in Dubai. So there's a Dubai Connect now and activities related to gold commodities trading. So clearly cash moving out of the country. There are companies, misrepresentation, fraud, fudging, and this entire jewelry business. Is it to just convert cash into gold, etc.? These are all under investigation at the moment. We're going to quickly move ahead to our other big story. Just a quick comment by Kulbir Krishanji. Kulbirji, this has happened right under the very nose of the establishment and the system. The Haryana government today has passed a bill or amended the bill to improve governance issues and control of universities operating in Haryana, and that's happened now. But this is very sinister. Multiple terror accused have actually found refuge here in this university. Ji.
No, it shows a complete breakdown of the system. and that people are able to manipulate the system to buy land, to carry out activities, to raise funds, to round trip them and do so many things, and which brings out the issue of corruption and the issue of enforcement of laws in India. And this happening at the doorstep of Delhi is extremely worrisome, and it should not be allowed to continue. I feel that there should be a thorough probe, if necessary by a Supreme Court retired judge, to find out the lacunae in the system and how to curb them. It's very necessary, and in a time-bound manner we should go into it, because this is happening not only here, it's happening in many other parts of the country, and private universities have become a racket. And so some kind of reform,
right,
or while some are excellent, some are very dodgy, So a thorough probe is required.
Right, there's lots of news happening. It's quite a newsy edition of the Right Stand. General Dhillon, please allow me to go to this. This is important. There's a mega CNN News 18 impact that we are now putting at the bottom of our screens. We just put that on our screen also in just a bit. It's a huge impact here, CNN News 18 impact, after we exposed how there is brazen illegal mining that's still happening. So in a major step towards conservation and part of this entire effort to save Aravali, protection of the entire Aravali range stretching from Delhi to Gujarat from illegal mining, the Union Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, MOEF and CC has issued directions to states for a complete ban on the grant of any new mining leases in the Aravalis. Now this prohibition applies uniformly across the entire Aravali landscape and is intended to preserve the integrity of the range. The directions are aimed at safeguarding the Aravalis as a continuous geological ridge extending from Gujarat to the National Capital Region and stopping all unregulated mining activities. We'll try and go across to Pallavi Ghosh joins us. Pallavi, so no new mining leases, but what we are given to understand, and is this enough is my question, because a very small percentage of the Aravali is open to legal mining. What is happening is brazen illegal mining. Like even today, we exposed how at the Goletha village, there is brazen mining caught on our cameras. Bulldozers were running away when they saw our cameras, but there was blast happening, there was mining happening, and that's 12 kilometers from Alwar, 12 kilometers from the collector's office. This was happening.
Anand, if you go through the press release which has been issued by the government, and there's a sense of urgency in the government, it actually talks extensively about the unregulated mining, which means that there's a lot of mining which is taking place, which is obviously not legal and which is in a subterfuge. People do it selectively, they do it secretly, and not many people are even aware of that it is happening. And I'm talking about people who are in the administration. That is what the press release is essentially talking about. The word from the government is that unregulated mining without any permission extending to the entire Aravali range, which does not just include Rajasthan, but it also includes other states as well as Gujarat. I think this is also a larger signal to other states as well, and a wake-up call to all the state governments that if you are aware of and if you do come to know about unregulated mining taking place in your respective state, then this is the time for you to step in.
Pallavi, I have limited time. No, here is the thing. The fact is that the Environment Minister's constituency itself is facing illegal mining. So the issue is who's cracking down. The collector has not responded. They have not said anything. The local MLA has not said anything. The villagers are under duress because they are being intimidated by this entire mining mafia. Who look at these pictures. These are pictures from today, this morning, viewers. Pictures from this morning that showcase what's happening in the Aravalis right now. This is the Goletha village, 12 kilometers from Alwar, on the Delhi-Dausa road, on the highway to Delhi, on the expressway to Delhi, just off it. This is where it is, 6 kilometers from the highway, 12 kilometers from Alwar. This is what is happening on ground. Blasts captured. This is illegal. An entire face of the mountain is gone. The locals are saying that through their lifetime, they've seen an entire mountain vanish and they cannot do anything because this mining mafia is so brazen. They just don't care. And these bulldozers were running for cover when they realized that these bulldozers are being captured on camera, Pallavi. So this is what the government has to tackle.
Anand, I have to admit, and I think even if you talk to many of the government sources, they do admit that, and that's the reason why we are having a late night release of this big statement and action taken by the government, is because they realized that something was going horribly wrong. And this was also not just being mired with a lot of, I would look at it as a legitimate political attack coming in from the opposition parties, a deep concern. You don't even have to go to Alwar. Please look around ourselves near the Mehrauli area or near the JNU area. The Aravali ranges also extend there. You see malls coming up, you see big establishments coming out, and that is only after cutting the Aravalis. That's how bad it has been. While the government sources have been insisting on the fact that the permission was given by the then Ashok Gehlot government. But you have been in power for over 10 years, so there is this question being raised that why did you not step in earlier? And well, clearly because the heat was there on the government, clarifications coming in from the environment minister, who himself is a member of parliament from Alwar, the government has now come up with this big notification which stops unregulated mining.
They can notify as much as they want. We will believe it when the crackdown happens, when these illegal miners and this entire mining mafia is cracked down, put behind bars for looting, plundering what is supposed to be nature's preserve and Bharat's dharohar or Bharat's treasure. This is being looted for the last many decades, viewers, and this has not yet been done. That's what's important. Notification after notification can come. Your channel will continue to be on ground and we will expose this. All around that Mewat region, this is happening brazenly. Guletha village is just one example. There will be many more. And if the crackdown is real, the intent is honest, then these bulldozers should never be there. And those who are riding those bulldozers, who are riding, you see the person there? They should be behind bars. Their identity should be put out, made public. They should be named and shamed that these are the looters and plunderers. And those who are facilitating them, the babus, the administration, the cops, the bureaucrats, all of them should also be peeled up. How can you say that the district collector does not know what's happening under their very nose in this region? So these are all questions, viewers. These are all questions and we'll continue to ask them. Thank you, Pallavi. Thank you. Moving on. Islamist thugs vandalized and set fire to an entire Hindu village named Banikpara in Sultanpur under the Raujan Abzilla in Chattogram or Chittagong district in Bangladesh. And this happened last night, viewers. It's a free run for Islamists under Yunus's watch. Horrific attack on Hindus that's been caught on camera, and the instances and the reports from Bangladesh suggest that the residents were locked inside the house and then their houses were set on fire. They broke the walls and escaped. The intent was not just arson or intimidation. It was to roast Hindus alive inside their homes in Chattogram, in Bangladesh. Now, the allegation, like I said, doors locked outside, houses set fire, clear attempt to murder, 2 Hindu families, 7 rooms destroyed, 8 people narrowly escaping. Victims escaped by cutting through bamboo and tin walls to save their lives. The cops claimed that the case is registered, but no arrests have been made so far because despite it all being on camera and people wailing and people crying, they just could not catch anybody. Mohammad Ali Siddiqui, Secretary General Bangladesh Human Rights Watch with us, Bikram Banerjee with us, and so is Kulbir Krishanji with us. My namaste and thank you to everybody. Mohammad Ali Siddiqui ji, this is on a day when US lawmakers, UK Parliament, everybody has taken cognizance and they are asking and concerned about the safety of Hindu minorities in Bangladesh.
Yes, it is. The ongoing atrocities in Bangladesh started since 5th August of 2024, non-stop. As you mentioned in Chittagong, the latest incident that happens, it is the same nature. They are continuing. And they burned to death one of the garments workers, Dipu Chandra. The world knows it well, that how brutally dragged him out, beaten to death, tied up with the tree and then put fire on the dead body. Even though they did not stop it, while they were taking the dead body to cremate it, and the family got attacked by the thugs. The question is, the so-called interim government's chief advisor, Nobel laureate Muhammad Yunus, he is acting like as a monster, and he came to destabilize the whole country, eliminating the opposition, particularly Awami League, the secular people, minorities, indigenous people. I don't know what kind of mission he possessed to. I condemned, as you mentioned, that 5 congressmen together, they disputed, wrote a letter to Dr. Muhammad Yunus on the various points, particularly mentioned about the minority people's persecution. Another congressman individually sent a letter to Dr. Muhammad Yunus and asked the Secretary General of US, Marco Rubio, to answer the situation ongoing in Bangladesh, to deliberately inform to his constituents. As you mentioned also, the British Parliament raised this concern that ongoing atrocities need to be stopped immediately. It cannot be tolerated. The civilized world was quite calm due to a big power was behind the scene. They were thinking that Yunus was implanted to Bangladesh by a big Western power.
Yeah.
And day by day, it is getting crystal clear that this monster patronizing the terrorists, particularly right after 8th of August, he took over the power as the head of the so-called interim government. All are illegitimate, illegal, unconstitutional. And one after another, his mission, he is doing the ethnic cleansing. We can say it is clearly under the statute of the Geneva Convention that he is violating the human rights in Bangladesh.
But it's quite token, this condemnation. Is there a conflict, Bikram Banerjee, that you see between 2 particular pillars of the US establishment, its intelligence and its state?
Absolutely, because all these, what is happening in Bangladesh is because US want to topple the government, the Sheikh Hasina government, which is elected government. There could be issues that democratically they could have sorted out, and they put an agent and who is now playing with the Islamists in Bangladesh. So the 2 part they're playing, but deep state are in play. So US should be taking the blame, and they are just doing lip service by saying all of this. And I'd like to add, United Nations, as United Nations human rights, Mr. Tak is trying to show solidarity with the extremist and who got killed by his own party members or organizations members, and then no mention about Dipu and other whatever is happening.
Right.
So their eyes are for extremists who are operating in Bangladesh, and this is absolutely unacceptable. They should be kicked out, and the Nobel laureate, the Nobel Prize of Yunus should be stripped off.
Yeah, but
it doesn't deserve to be there.
No, but they have to be kicked out by those who put them in the first place, because the army itself is sitting mum, because they've been threatened with UN peacekeeping and their position there. So somewhere there is somebody who's pulling the strings and who believes that this puppet needs to stay on there even as innocent lives are killed and compromised, and there is a certain demographic change, alteration which is happening. Not just demographic, the DNA of Bangladesh itself is being deliberately altered. That's what's happening. Kulbir Krishanji, running out of time because we had big news, breaking news, and I had to go to that. But please, your thoughts, sir, quickly.
Yeah, quickly, 1 or 2 points. In 1947, Chittagong Hill Tracts was 3% Muslim. So a lot of questions were asked why it should go to Pakistan. But because the deep sea port of Chittagong had to be given, they said the remaining 97% are not Hindus, so why give it to India? That's history. Coming now, I strongly feel that these disturbances have the tacit backing of Muhammad Yunus and strong elements of his government, because they really don't want to lose the power which they've enjoyed for the last 1.5 or 2 years.
Right.
And they would like to postpone the elections under any pretext, saying that the law and order situation doesn't allow it and things like that. They have been in continuous denial of atrocities on Hindus. In fact, when the monk of Ramakrishna Mission was arrested.
Ji.
They said no, and India has, we leave aside UNHRC and other bodies. I want to ask a simple question. Our parliament was in session. Could we not have passed a resolution saying that we condemn atrocities on minorities in
Correct.
Bangladesh?
The sad
Why have
part.
we not done it?
Yeah, sad part is, sir.
What is our MEA doing?
Sir, not just the MEA. Sad part
And
is
one
that
last point.
that the people polity overall, Bharat itself is not speaking against it in one voice. There are apologists who are trying to justify this too, and that's a travesty. I apologize. I'm really run out of time. We'll take this forward on our Thursday edition. Do join us then. For the moment, namaste. Thank you.
This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Linked assessments have now shed fresh light on how China and Pakistan are recalibrating their approach towards Bharat through coordinated grey zone strategies, operations designed to apply sustained pressure without crossing the threshold of open war. The dragon is fighting from the shadows, and it is the dragon that is weaponizing, aiding, helping Pakistan. Now, the finding accessed by CNN News 18, and which we reveal tonight here on The Right Stand, suggest that Operation Sindoor marked a significant test case of this evolving doctrine. Now, according to the assessment, Pakistan executed the visible, kinetic and proxy elements of pressure during the operation, while China remained largely in the background, in the shadows, shaping the battlefield through information warfare, cyber activity, intelligence support and diplomatic maneuvering. Chinese satellite coverage and electronic surveillance inputs are believed to have enhanced Pakistan's real-time situational awareness, improving targeting and operational coordination without direct PLA involvement. Now, a central feature of Beijing's approach was plausible deniability. While Pakistan absorbed international scrutiny as the immediate actor, China focused on amplifying Pakistan's narrative through controlled diplomatic messaging and calibrated online information campaigns. Now, these efforts sought to blur attribution, question Bharatiya claims, and also slow the formation of any international consensus in Bharat's favor. US officials are assessing this as a deliberate attempt to test Bharat's escalation thresholds while keeping Chinese fingerprints indirect. Now, the report underlines that China's military planners increasingly view Bharat as a core sovereignty and long-term strategic challenge. Even though Beijing's primary focus remains the US-Taiwan theater, Bharat, the assessment states, is being shaped as a future containment target, particularly across the Himalayan frontier and the Indian Ocean region, where China seeks to constrain Bharat's strategic rise. Now, Pakistan continues to play a pivotal role in this calculus. US intelligence sources describe Islamabad as China's pressure valve against Bharat used to keep New Delhi strategically distracted, dilute expanding Bharat-US defense cooperation and experiment with hybrid warfare models at relatively low cost to Beijing. Now, the coordination between Beijing and Islamabad is emerging as a key tool to apply multi-domain pressure without triggering full-scale conflict. Your channel and here at The Right Stand, we have access to the documents that point in this direction, that very clearly outline this assessment, and somewhere it rings true, viewers. Let's go across to our guest, Brahma Chalani, Strategic Affairs expert, Lieutenant General KJS Dhillon, former GOC 15 Corps of the Indian Army with us. Kulbir Krishanji, former IPS and also ex-member of the NSAB, is also with us, and we should have Andrew K. Leung from China joining us. My namaste, Jai Hind and Vande Mataram to everybody. KJS Dhillonji, you have authored the book Operation Sindoor. You also highlighted the dynamic where the Indian Army played a key role and demolishing very strategically important assets of the Pakistanis across the LOC. But this aspect of the Chinese involvement and that Op Sindoor was perhaps the first of the many experiments that they will undertake. Do you agree with this assessment by the Americans?
Good evening, Anand, and good evening to the fellow panelists and your viewers. Yes, China-Pakistan relationship. It's also a relationship which has seen the test of time. And at the same time, it's also a relationship, as we say it in Hindi, Shahukar ka paisa phasa hua hai. China's money is stuck with Pakistan, and Pakistan under tremendous debt of China, including for CPEC, that is China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, as also the weapons which have been bought by them. So for China, there is no other option but to side with Pakistan, although at a strategic level and at an economic level, it makes sense to be partnering with India and not to be in competition with India. But then two largest, you can say militaries, two largest populations, two largest economies in the region, it is but natural to have a competition. And China
Very good evening. You're watching Brass Tacks with me, Akanksha Swaroop. What's unfolding in Bangladesh bears unsettling resemblance to Pakistan and Afghanistan. Here too, false blasphemy accusations have been used to terrorize minorities and silence dissent. And so Bangladesh's interim administration under Mohammad Yunus has failed its acid test. Why so? Because a state that cannot protect its minorities cannot claim moral or democratic legitimacy. Call it Yunus's silence, indecision or appeasement. These are not just failures of Mohammad Yunus, but all of the United States and the wider West. As far as US is concerned, it's a country where Yunus is highly regarded. Perhaps that explains why Washington is overlooking his failures. And that includes its legacy media like the New York Times, which has framed Deepu Das's killing as a generalized pattern of religious intolerance across South Asia. Yes, some US lawmakers have sent a letter to Mohammad Yunus. They've expressed concerns over the total ban on Awami